Welcome to For the Joy, where we discover holy hope in the everyday hard. I'm Bethany, your host. This space is where your struggles are seen, your story is safe, and your heart is gently encouraged. Welcome back to For the Joy. If you've been with me before, thank you for your patience as I took time to seek the Lord about where He was leading us next. And if you're new here, welcome back. You're stepping into something that's been brewing in prayer and stillness. In this time away, I've had some exciting life changes. I got married to the most amazing man that has gently and lovingly called me forward in the safest way. I sold my home and I'm making a new home. A new season of life for me, and I am over the moon with how God continues to write my story and invites me to partner with Him. Even sharing that causes me to inhale deeply and bask in His goodness. As I take in His goodness and faithfulness of my life, it's not lost on me how I once wrestled with His faithfulness, where I ran from His presence, and in the wrestling and the running, I knew in the depth of my soul He was true. He was real. I look back at my faith journey, relationship with Christ and myself, and I remember how I desperately grasped for the spiritual truths in the Bible. Yet they kept slipping through my hands and I didn't know why. And this is where I want to pick up, where we left off in season 2 with the invitation to discover and engage. But this time, I'm inviting you into something special. A mini-series I'm calling The Sacred Pause, Finding Connection When You Feel Lost. Because sometimes the very thing we're searching for is not found in doing more, but in pausing long enough to notice what's already there. So, before we dive in, I want to invite you to pause with me just for a moment. Ask yourself, how are you showing up today? What stirred in you? Maybe just a whisper of curiosity that made you press play. What tugs at your heart and mind right now? As you settle in, take a gentle breath and notice. What's happening in your body right now? Are your shoulders carrying tension? Is there a flutter of anxiety in your chest? Maybe a heaviness you can't quite name? Or perhaps you feel numb and completely disconnected, like you're floating above your own life. There's no right or wrong answer here. I'm just inviting you to notice. Maybe you're listening while you're folding laundry, or driving to or from work, or stealing a few quiet minutes before the day demands your attention. Wherever you are, whatever you're feeling, you're welcome here. Maybe you're exhausted. Maybe your heart feels numb. Maybe you've been doing all the right things, but still feel far from God, or even from your own self. Or maybe you've been doing all the wrong things, ignoring the pain that is brewing, silencing your voice, or minimizing your worth, all in an effort to remain small and out of the way. Maybe you're simply scrolling your way through life, hoping for a life hack to ease the pain or fill the void. What I want to do is remind you, you're not a problem to solve, you're a treasure to discover. So whether you're checking every spiritual box or feel like you're failing at everything, that emptiness, that loneliness, that sense of being lost, it's the same ocean we're all looking at. We're all standing on the same shoreline of human longing, just with different stories of how we got here. So you're not alone in this feeling, even though your story might look completely different from the woman sitting next to you. Whether you are the performer or the one who's given up entirely, we're both aching for the same thing: real connection, authentic presence, and the felt experience of being truly known and loved as we are. And this, friend, is exactly why engagement matters. So let me explain. I remember a season in my life when I was reading my Bible every morning, journaling, going to church, like I said, checking all the spiritual boxes. From the outside, I looked like I had it all together. But inside, I felt like I was living in two different worlds. There were these beautiful spiritual truths I was learning, verses about peace, about God's love, about His presence with me. I could quote them. I believed them in my head, but somehow that didn't match what I was actually experiencing in my daily life. I felt anxious when the Bible said I should have peace. I felt distant from God when it said He was near. And I felt utter shame when it talked about His unconditional love. And I couldn't understand why. What I didn't realize then was that I had become completely disconnected from my own body, from my emotions, my thoughts, and my desires. I was basically living from the neck up, trying to think my way into spiritual truth while ignoring what was actually happening in my heart, my nervous system, and my lived experience. I was disassociated from myself. And when you're disconnected from yourself, it's really hard to feel connected to God or anyone else. But maybe disconnection doesn't resonate with you. Maybe you are so connected with your heart, mind, nervous system, and lived experiences, and yet you still feel lonely and disconnected. This is what we're all after, right? It's what we've been made for. Connection. Connection to ourselves, to God, to others. We were designed for belonging, for intimacy, and for that deep knowing of being seen and loved. And this, friend, is exactly why engagement matters. It's a first step back to what our souls are designed for. The engagement I am talking about here does not add more to your to-do list or demand your best behavior, but this kind, the kind where you pause and notice what's actually true for you right now. Where you tune into your body, your emotions, your real experience without immediately trying to fix it or spiritualize it away. This is a holy pause where you show up as you are right now and allow God to be present in the pause. This engagement, the gentle practice of showing up to your own life, your own heart, to this present moment exactly as it is, that's what I'm talking about. So let's pause here together. Right now, wherever you're at, can you feel your feet on the ground? Or can you notice your breath? What's happening in your chest, your shoulders, and your belly as you listen to these words? Don't analyze it. Don't try to fix anything. Simply notice. This is engagement. Engaging your physical sensations, emotional signals, thoughts, and longings. And it's the foundation for everything we're going to explore together in this series. Because here's what I've discovered, and I want to say this with all tenderness in my heart. You can't heal what you can't feel. You can't transform what you won't acknowledge. And you can't experience the deep embodied truth of God's love when you're disconnected from the very body and heart where He longs to meet you. Or you're so connected, there's no room for God's presence. God just doesn't want your thoughts, friend. He wants to encounter you in your emotions, in your nervous system, in those tender places where you actually live, breathe, and feel. He's not waiting for you to get it all together first. He's inviting you to bring Him, the living Christ, right into the mess, right into the uncertainty, right into this very moment where you are. He's inviting you to allow Him into your humanity, into all your feelings, whether they are feelings of love, hate, peace, anxiety, rage, or calm. He invites you to come. All who are weary, just come. So today we start here with this simple, sacred invitation to engage, to notice, be present, and to show up as you are. Not fixed, not fake, just here. God isn't asking you to be more productive. He's asking you to be present. Psalm 145:18 says, "The Lord is near to all who call on Him, to all who call on Him in truth." Truth doesn't mean perfection, friend. Truth means honesty. Truth means transparency. Yes, God invites you to call on Him. He's already near and nudging you. He is a gentle man and wants to be invited in. So let's do a gentle check-in together. Not to judge, not to fix, just to engage. So what's true for you right now? So often we think engagement means doing more, but really it means becoming aware of your feelings, your thoughts, and your body. Engagement is in the choice of a moment. Do I pause and allow the truth to settle in? The truth of my felt experience and the truth of God's love. Engagement is awareness and acknowledgement. Noticing what you feel emotionally, what you believe mentally, and what you sense physically, and allowing it all to be seen. Not rushed, not judged, just simply known. There is no right or wrong. There is no demand for answers or excuses. There is life and love that waits for you. Abundant life and a deep, deep love you don't have to earn, but to receive and just be. In fact, it's a first act of love towards yourself and towards God. And I like to call it a holy pause. To breathe and engage in the moment, in the space of time that is right in front of you. And you might be wondering, why does this matter? Why is engagement, showing up with honesty, so essential to healing? Because here's what I've seen time and time again in sessions with my clients, or in quiet conversations with friends. When we pause long enough to recognize the tension, to name the messy middle of what is and what isn't quite yet, something sacred happens. When we stop trying to fix it, deny it, or hide it, we create room to breathe. And it's in that moment, it's like it never dawned on my clients, heck, it never dawned on me, that in that moment, it's okay to sit with the hard. That acknowledging the pain isn't a weakness, but it's a start of something holy. So that pause, that moment of naming what's real without rushing it, that's where the light begins to come in. And Jesus modeled this beautifully for us in the Garden of Gethsemane when He was facing the cross. He didn't try to spiritualize away his anguish or rush through it. His emotions, he paused in the middle of them. He named what was real. My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death. He brought his honest, raw emotions directly to the Father. He asked his friends to simply sit with him in it. No fixing, no rushing, just presence. And it was in that place of honest engagement with his deepest pain that he found the strength to say, "Not my will, but yours be done." And it was for the joy set before him, he endured the cross and scorned the shame. But first, he engaged with the reality of what he was facing. He didn't bypass the hard, he went through it with the Father. And much like Jesus wrestling with the Father in raw honesty, it wasn't until I learned to engage with my own raw emotions and experiences that I began to move forward in my healing. It wasn't until I was able to recognize and accept that my soul, my mind, my will, and my emotions are not rejected by God. He looks and sees all of me and asks me to do the same, to join him in the work of loving me back to life, so that Christ in me, the hope of glory, can be seen in and through me. You see, God meets all of your emotions, desires, thoughts with a kindness that will stop you in your tracks. A kindness that allows you to accept yourself exactly as you are and see God with fresh eyes. That he is kind, he is merciful and gracious. He's just, and God is love. We may not always see the joy that is set before us like Jesus did. We may resist the cross we all face. But here's what I discovered. It wasn't enough just to engage with my emotions. For years, I would notice them and acknowledge them, but I was actually engaging them with fear, with a disgust, with shame, and with pride, not with the tenderness and kindness that God offers. It wasn't until I learned to engage my emotions with empathy that the light began to seep in. Let me give you an example. For years, I had this script running, "Who do you think you are?" I thought this was humility, but it was actually pride and shame keeping me from engaging with my painful emotions like betrayal and rejection. Instead of feeling them, I'd blame others or make excuses for my anger and bitterness. But when I finally said, "Here, Lord, I can't stop these feelings of betrayal and loneliness, and neither can you. This is part of our human experience," something shifted. I realized Jesus felt every bit of what I was feeling. There's not a thing we feel that he can't relate to or hasn't felt on our behalf. Engagement without rushing to fix it or dismiss it, embracing it with empathy made all the difference. It's an invitation to step into a moment with all the raw emotion and unfiltered thoughts and allow it to be embraced, to be held with the same tenderness God holds us. When we engage with empathy, we create space for God's love and kindness to seep into those wounded places and our emotions, thoughts, and desires. We give life to what we've kept hidden. And yes, we feel the vulnerability of what that exposure is. But God tenderly meets us there, especially when we share it with safe and trusted friends who can mirror his empathy back to us. And this is why community is so important. It's an essential component of our healing, our faith, and our journey of trust. It's actually how our bodies are designed to heal, not in isolation, but face to face, heart to heart, and knee to knee. But before we end our time together, I want to offer you a holy pause guide to take with you. These are gentle questions to ask yourself and then invite Jesus into what you discover. Make it yours. There's no right way to do this, just an invitation to notice and to include him in what you're experiencing. Stay curious. The answers may not come right away, and that's okay. You are heard and seen, even if it's not experienced in a way that makes sense to you right now. Remember, God is always present. He isn't rushing in to fix or solve. He's simply wanting to be present with you. Trust that he's there, even when you can't feel it. So the first question, where am I right now? And then notice what's happening in your body, your emotions, your thoughts, what's stirring, what feels heavy or light, and what thoughts are circling. The second minute is, Jesus, what do you want to show me here? Invite him into what you've just experienced. You could ask, what do you see that I'm missing? What's your heart to me at this moment? And the third question is, Jesus, how do you want to meet me in this? And then stay open to his presence, his response. You may get a next step. Maybe it's just his nearness. Maybe it could be a Bible verse or a memory or simply a sense of peace. As you allow him to lead, don't dismiss Bible verses that come up or memories that are revealed. Write them down, notice them, and remain curious as you go about your day. And remember, this is an ongoing, never-ending conversation that God wants and delights to have with you. So take him with you. If this resonated with you today, I would love to engage with you and hear more from you. Feel free to DM me to start a conversation. I'm also planning to launch a community coming soon where we can continue exploring these foundational truths together. Next week, in episode 2 of the mini-series, we'll dive into empathy, how to meet what you've just discovered about yourself with the same tenderness God offers you. Until then, remember, you're not a problem to solve. You're a treasure to discover. Thank you for joining me today for episode 1 of this Sacred Pause mini-series. As always, let's keep looking for the holy hope in the everyday hard. Be encouraged, be strengthened, and be filled with the joy that comes from living fully alive in Christ. You are made for this abundant life, and it's waiting for you right here, right now, in him. Until next time, may his grace guide you, his love sustain you, and his joy overflow in every part of your life. If you would like to book a free discovery call with me or sign up to receive my free 5-day program From Overwhelmed to Empowered, head over to my website at bethanyjoyministry.com or follow me on all socials. Thanks, and see you soon.